as you were thinking about a name, right, and you went through different iterations with your partner and trying to think about what conveyed the business that you're in, but what's also catchy, but what also, be unique. You probably at some point thought, let's hope nobody else has this name, okay? Right, so this is a very important place to start. Those folks who think, I'm not Coca-Cola, I'm not big enough to care about something like this, are not thinking about the fact that, yes, you're not that big, maybe you're copying someone who is, or someone who's your size and they're located in a different part of the US and you just have no idea about them. So that's the most important place we want to start when it comes to the importance of IP, is that it's not about enforcing your brand against other people. You just filed for your LLC last week, so there's not going to be an infringer right around the corner probably. That's not what we're focusing on. We want to make sure you're not copying someone else. Because you're so small, your budget doesn't allow for a legal hassle. You don't have the time for it. You're not equipped for it. And because you're the newcomer, and if you happen to infringe on a prior user, which we'll talk quite a bit today, you're not going to have any standing either, so let alone the expense if you're willing to fight it, you don't have a leg to stand on legally. So as you're thinking about that, you want to ensure that you're not infringing on someone else's IP before you start embarking on your business. And as I mentioned, this can result in costly lawsuits, and in some cases, an entire forced rebranding. When I present like this, I really like to throw in examples from my own law practice, just because it kind of makes the material a little bit more real for us. So I specialize in representing restaurants, bars, lounges, and hotels, so kind of in that industry. I do a lot of trademarks for other types of businesses as well, but I seem to have fallen into a niche with those sorts of folks. And so both here and on the West Coast, am behind a lot of the trademarks for the names in those industries. So one of the things that I've encountered quite a bit, and this just happened literally on Friday, so today's Monday, and tonight I have to go to this restaurant and deal with this and meet my client. So a restaurant who shall not be named, and I'm not going to even name the neighborhood just so we don't narrow it down, I was in talks with them to do the trademarks for their business, right? As we're starting to kind of uncover, the sooner the better, right? If you're thinking about a name and you haven't even opened your doors yet, that's about the time you want to start thinking about the name you're choosing and what we're going to do here. So I was put into contact with the person behind this restaurant concept that's very, very new here in Atlanta. And it came from another person who's opened several restaurants, and I've done their trademark, so it was sort of word of mouth. And so I have a meeting with this client, and I'm saying, okay, so how far are you on this restaurant concept? And he's like, oh, we opened last month. Okay, so we're past the searching, we're past any kind of consideration. We've opened our doors, so it means we've paid someone to do branding, we've got a sign on the door, people know about it. Now it's probably in the AJC. I'm like, okay. So you do know that you need to be on this kind of in the beginning to like ensure you have the right to use this great, it is a great name, and then this name that you chose, oh, we're definitely the first people, there's nobody out there. I'm like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, positive. Like, I know the trademark law, I know it's first to jump. I'll teach you all about that today. But he's so sure of it. I said, okay, So I follow up with him a couple times. It's over the last few weeks, not getting a response. And he's busy, right? He's launched a new restaurant that just opened a month or two ago. So, he's not really worried about something that's not hitting him in the face right this second. Like, trademark is kind of like that insurance policy you keep meaning to renew. Nothing happens on a day-to-day, but if you find yourself without protection, you're gonna be really sorry you didn't make that call or make that, in this case, make that filing. So, to fast forward to Friday, I get a very, very panicked phone call. Another attorney for a restaurant in Tennessee, which is not too far from here, the exact same name that opened up 15 years ago, called this restaurant owner and left a message saying, essentially, cease and desist and watch your mail because we're going to be sending you that. So we'll do a lot of myth busting along the way today too. So a lot of people think you're just gonna get slapped with a lawsuit. That doesn't happen, right? Usually most civilized attorneys send a nice letter or like a phone call in the beginning. So to the extent that you've ever heard that, I don't think it really happens that often. And so in this situation, so he's got this phone call. So my guy calls me panicked, right? He hasn't retained me yet. So I've been bugging him about this for like a month now. And I'm like, I don't know how else, I don't want to rush you, but this is really important. You just opened this restaurant. So he calls me panicked on Friday and he's like, well, what do we do now? I mean, does this have any truth to it? I'm like, well, you have to retain me and I'll find out if there's any truth to this or not. So we get retained in 15 minutes, like right then and there. Okay, so now we do a little bit of digging around, and it took me not even 5 minutes to find that this restaurant opened 15 years ago, true and legitimate. They have a federal registration. It would have taken no time at all had this conversation taken place earlier to say, negative, nix this name. We have to come up with something new. Someone's already got it. Someone's already got it. So now I have to go there tonight and meet with him to find out what exactly it is we're going to do. This is a very real life situation of what can happen if you sit on something like insurance or trademarks too long, is that it's only a problem when it becomes one. If you're curious, what we're going to try to explore is maybe working out something with the Tennessee restaurant to see if they'll license the name for use in Atlanta only, or do some sort of coexistence agreement. It's not looking good. So just in case you're curious, I'm happy to keep you posted if anyone's curious, but I was promised some alcohol when I get there, which I'm going to probably need. I'm going to need a good hard drink when we start this. So, again, I share that as a way to kind of apply something that is very real, right? It's right here in Atlanta in one of our neighborhoods, and either you've heard about it or you may be stopping by this restaurant pretty soon, and it may not be named that when you get there after I'm done with them, so we'll see.